This program is rated PG. It contains themes and scenes which may not be suitable for very young audiences. Parental guidance is advised.
Be advised that the views and opinions of the hosts and guests do not reflect those of the station.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Philippines Uncut. I'm your host, Buddy Kunana. Now, in this show, we talk about everything under the sun. And tonight's topic is very interesting as we are celebrating International Women's Month. And last week, we had three very distinguished ladies joining us here. We talked about women in business and women's rights. Tonight, our discussion continues, and we have with us a very eminent resource person. She is a former Secretary of Education and former Managing Commissioner of the Commission on Higher Education. She spent decades in the field of education, served 5 presidents, and is a author, educator, social civic leader, talking none other than former Secretary of Education, Mona Dumlao Valisno. Secretary Valisno, good evening and welcome to Philippines Uncut.
Good evening. Thank you very much, Buddy, for your kind invitation.
Yes, ma'am. You know, it's such an honor to have you here because, as I mentioned in my opening spiel, that your track record in the field of education is so impressive, and you've served 5 presidents, and you've written books, you've championed different causes, and on this topic we're going to be talking about tonight, we're talking about women's rights and also education, which is your expertise.
Thank you.
Madam, to begin, let's talk about you. I mean, I've introduced you, but tell us a bit about yourself, about your career, and what you're doing these days.
Well, I started as a classroom teacher. I'm very proud of that. And I wanted to be, looking into how the teachers could really be inspired all over the country, especially, to me, teaching is a very, very prestigious position. It's something that very noble, and then you can see the gains that one has whenever one can read in the classroom, just at the level of the classroom. So to me, that is something that very inspiring. So I look up into the teachers, yung mga guro natin, na sinasabi, mababa nga ang sweldo, ang daming dapat gawin. Siguro noon, tinataasan natin unti-unti. Pero tama ho yun na sila ay nabibigyan ng inspirasyon. Hindi lang po ang mga teachers, kundi yung mga kasama mga parents. Kasi meron yung parent learning support system. Magkakasama yung teacher at saka yung mga magulang para ang ating mga bata may tuwid lahat ang dapat nilang gagawin.
Opo, napaka-importante po yung mga guro talaga sa ating lipunan dahil sila yung nagmo-mold po ng kabataan.
Yes, that's right.
You know,
Uh-huh.
the society is really
Yes.
founded on the kind of people you have, your human
Yes.
resource.
That's right.
Napaka-importante po. Now, Secretary, I have a question. Which areas of education have you been involved in your career? You started as a
Classroom teacher.
but I mean, high school, elementary, or
Well, I was with the policy-making agencies. I also served in at that time, the Bureau of Private Schools. And then I was a professorial lecturer of the University of the Philippines. I finished my Master of Arts in the university, and I did my teaching career from the Philippine Normal College, now Philippine Normal University. And then I'm grateful that I was sent abroad to do my PhD and specialize in the field of assessment. So that's what we started in the Philippines. So looking at it, marami pang dapat gawin, but yun po ang mga ginawa ko sa education. So to me, I serve more than 5 decades, and I'm very happy to have been given that chance, serving 5 presidents, from President Marcos down to President GMA.
yes.
Yes.
So your last you bowed out of the government in 2010.
Yes.
When in June 30, 2010.
Correct.
And your last 2 positions, you were presidential advisor in education.
Right.
Yes.
Presidential assistant.
Yes, president
That's
assistant
right.
on education.
The reason that I was invited by President GMA was my exposure to the 3 agencies of education. You know, in 1994, there was this law, 7722, creating the Commission on Higher Education, separating it from DepEd.
Yes.
So at that time, we tried to support things like that. So when the time that President GMA asked me to coordinate the 3 agencies of education,
Yes.
which I did for quite a few years, and I was also happy for the exposure going into not only the higher education and basic education, but also technical education.
Yes. Very important.
That's right.
po, yeah, po.
Mhm.
Now, since you left government, what have you been doing since po? Since bowing out of government?
Right now,
Yes.
well, I'm not. I'm just I'm just taking care of my grandchildren and nothing much. But I still write a few
Yes.
things.
In fact,
Yes,
we
I've
have
been-
your book here, which
Thank
is
you.
called the Nation's Journey to Greatness, which
Right.
we'll be talking about in a while.
Yeah.
And here you tackle actually the shift to
Yeah.
the K-12 system which we have now.
Right.
Opo.
That one I did it for a year when I left the Department of Education, and then it was launched in 2012, and I was happy that President Ramos was there, Secretary Luistro, Secretary Tati Licuanan, Secretary Joel Villanueva, and the university presidents were all there, and we're happy that at least there was a good discussions on how we could relate into all these issues in education, and I'm
Opo.
happy.
Opo. Now, aside from education, but you've also been very involved in women's issues and women's rights.
Yes,
Let's talk about your involvement po in protecting or empowering women.
Yes, I was also very fortunate to have been invited to serve among the first commissioners part-time during the time of President Marcos. And the first chairman was Madam Imelda. And we had, in that, the composition of the commissioners include very successful women in the different fields, like Justice Cecilia Muñoz Palma, Senator Helena Benitez, Senator Leticia Siahani. We had Dr. Lucrecia Casilag. Among the
Wow,
men,
yeah,
yes.
Huge names.
Yeah,
Yes.
correct. All of them were there.
Yes.
And I was with them. I was happy that at least in education I was able to do a little something on that. And then we are happy in that commission. There were also nice gentlemen, ministers at that time. At that time, the late Deputy Prime Minister Ronyo, I
Yes.
remember.
Yeah.
We also had the late Minister Ople
Yes.
of Labor. We also had the late acting minister of Department of Foreign Affairs, Pacifico Castro. We had also Minister Roberto Ongpin and Minister
Opo.
Jovito Rivera.
Opo.
Those are the men.
And all involved in the National Commission role.
That's
of
right. They were
Philippine women.
all commissioners.
Power pack pa
Part-time,
ho,
yes.
no, itong commission dati.
That's right. So we tried to work together so that we could sort of lay down areas by which we could serve together, not only women but also with men.
What was the objective of the National Commission on the Role of Filipino Women? It was really to protect women's rights and to advance the cause of women in the country.
The cause of women. We were among the first country in the world that responded to the UN, right? And so this one, we're happy that we have projects on policy structure. Actually, for every 5%, 5% in the agencies of government, they're supposed to be devoted to women's causes.
Really?
Right.
5%,
so
huh?
5% of the budget.
Yes, wow.
Yeah, in every existing departments, you know.
Yes, yes.
I don't know now, but I know Remy is the present chairman, doing very well also in the commission. Also, Tati Licuana also served as chairman one time, and also the others. So they have been, during our time was 40 years ago.
How long were you with the commission, Secretary?
Since 1975, when it
Until-
was until 86.
Okay.
That was the first first batch of commissioners, all of us.
Yes.
And then the next batch from 1986 to by term.
Okay. Okay. And during your time in the commission, what were the major accomplishments of this body?
Right. Oh, we had actually the different commissioners look into how the women could be served, you know, and they were there encouraging them to do even livelihood programs. So they were being helped in every way it can be. Well, the budget was not enough. That's why the government has appropriated 5%. So it's up to now to the different departments, but then under the supervision of the Commission on the Role of Women at that time. Now the name is Philippine Commission on Women.
Yes, it
So
was
it's
changed in
it has been changed because of the charter.
2009,
Yes.
I think.
And I hope they will continue on doing things for women, because there are certain issues and problems that are being coming out right now.
Yes.
And the overall monitoring of the Commission on Women should be very, very relevant.
Yes. Now it's been 40 years since you joined. Since you joined as one of the first commissioners.
Yes, the first
of
commissioners.
the National Commission on the Role
Right.
of Women. What are your views po, looking back 40 years? I mean, has a lot been accomplished since then?
Oh yes, I think first is that, well, for education, marami na kasi sa statistics sa education,
Opo.
talagang maraming teachers babae. So there are other areas.
Traditionally, it's always been.
Huh?
Traditionally, has
Traditional
it always been,
talaga, even
it's always
before
been
the
women.
commission.
Yes.
Marami. Ang gusto ko nga sana, like for instance in elementary right now,
Opo.
the proportion of teachers in the elementary schools is 87% women. And then yun, maganda sana kung just like in Finland,
Opo.
the profession is highly respected. So you can see equal participation of men and women.
Opo, opo.
So sana we could attract the men also to come in teaching. No, that one here.
Traditionally kasi yung stereotype for teachers
Yun na nga.
is
That's
women, di ba?
That's
Opo.
why my accomplishment when I was there,
Opo.
I did a series of book writing on sex role stereotyping. It's with the Commission on Women now. So I was calling yesterday, nasaan ba yung mga libro na bigyan ba ninyo ako ng one whole set? Kasi I know nine series yun eh.
Opo.
Like for instance, we know that the farmers, you know, the women help them planting
Yes,
rice.
yes.
Planting rice is never fun. Now planting rice is full of fun. So the women participate. But when they go home, the gentleman before, they just sit down and nothing, because traditionally the women cook, they prepare the food. Yun
Yes,
ang
yes.
sexual stereotype.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So I try to balance it. So the man should help as well.
Yes.
Now it's better, but before ganon.
Opo.
Opa.
How about in our education now? Do we still have this, because I grew up I started going to school in the 70s. And I remember, I mean, even in our school books,
Yeah.
the gender stereotypes were there, diba? Like,
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
some professions,
That's
women,
right.
I mean, subtle,
Yeah.
not, I mean, but subtle, indications. But
I know.
how is it these days? Are these being changed?
Well, you can see that even I was talking to Cecile, ilan ba yung secretaries of education, for say, for since 1965 to the present, out of 9, 3 ang babae. Ganon.
And we've had 2 women presidents.
Yeah,
Since-
to impress. So we accept that because
Yeah.
even the women really accept that kind of. So in many of these cases, we don't complain because we accept
Yes.
kung ganon, kung sino man, lalaki man o babae man, yung merong capabilities. So at that
Yes.
time, pinakita yon. Sa CHED, ganon din. 2 women out of 9 in TESDA, 2 women out of 9 for 5 decades.
Opo,
So ganun ang proportion. But, we're not saying that everything is half-half. Hindi naman. Basta sino yung merong capability. That's why I was saying, siguro kailangan natin ma-attract sa lower level na teachers na we should have more gentlemen. Yeah.
Yes. In which areas do you see that women, that there are still obstacles to women advancing themselves?
To me, in the Philippines, they are well accepted here. That is my observation. I have never felt any kind of inferiority complex with men, but I respect their capabilities if ever they are more capable than some of the other candidates.
Yes, yes.
But in some instances, of course, they are saying that the women are not given all the chances. But it's up to me in the Philippines. It's very well accepted.
Actually, we're so advanced, as you mentioned. This commission that was set up in 75, and precisely to advance the cause of women in the
Right.
country.
Yeah.
It's so much advanced compared to our neighbors in the region.
Yes,
compared
correct.
to a lot of other countries,
Correct, yes.
which just really started
That's
taking
right.
this cause up in the 80s or 90s. Opo. How about moving forward,
Yes,
Secretary? How do you see, the role of women developing and women overcoming gender barriers? How do you see it going forward?
They're okay.
Yes.
The Commission on the Role of Filipino Women. I'm sorry. No, it's the Philippine Commission on
Oho.
Women.
ECW.
Should monitor more closely. That is my suggestion.
Yes.
Because then there are so many things to be done, in every agencies. How many agencies? More than 38, I guess. They have to look into what are these programs, that are they being utilized properly for the advancement of women? In what way? So they must look at that one.
Yes, but very interesting what you mentioned earlier about your plan or your dream for education in the Philippines. That, traditionally it's been led by women, but then you would like to see more men participate in education.
That's right. In the teaching
Yes,
level, the teaching
yes.
level. Mhm.
Yes.
Right, that's true. Because they're all women, 87% right now. That's the latest statistics. And that has always been there, 80%, 85, 87 throughout the decades. So they stereotype teaching for women, especially in the elementary level. In the high school level, 78% are women, high
Yes.
school.
Yes.
In higher education, of course, there are more men now in higher education.
Let's talk about education naman po as a way to empower women. In what ways do you see education being a tool for women to get more empowered, to somehow, equalize the gender inequality that still exists?
That's right. Actually, women are really very interested in every way. I would like to mention the foundation of Senator Rasul, Pagbasa Kita. By the way, she was also with us in the Commission on Women. Senator
Yes,
Rasul.
Senator
Yes.
Rasul,
And
yes.
she has this foundation, Magbasa Kita. The vice chairman is the Prime Minister Cesar Virata. And they have the project on literacy, literacy for women, for the Mindanao population, the those are in the conflict areas. And I could see in the statistics that there are, what they have served, for instance, out of 7,000 they have graduated, 6,000 are women. The men are about over 1,000. So women are really that interested to be literate. And that is very, very important, because in the study which I conducted together with UNESCO, it was a parent learning support system.
Yes.
For improvement of quality. The parent support is so important. That's why if they're illiterate, how can they guide, you know? That's why it is important that they should be given a chance to be given those exposure to learn and be
Yes.
literate.
Because traditionally, especially say, in the rural areas which are not too economically developed,
That's right.
the emphasis was really more on the males
Yes.
finishing or going to school, or,
Yeah.
or because with the mindset that they would become the breadwinners and support the family.
Yes.
But in cases like that, women were somehow left behind.
That's right.
Yes.
So, these are the areas that, you know, it's important that the most important thing we have to do is to develop the human resource. Then we can sort of remove many of the problems right now. So many of our problems emanate because we are not educated enough. And so many do not read and write. When I was the Secretary of Education, I was really, I was saddened by the so many dropouts at the fourth year level.
Yes, yes.
That's why I thought that the grade 11 and 12 is something that is very useful, because then the students will get exposed to both the technical and the academic.
Yes, yeah.
And after the training, after grade 12, some can land jobs if they
Already?
need to already.
Because they have technical skills.
Not only that, there will be 18 at least, because
Yes.
most of the graduates now grade 10, 16 years old.
Yes, yeah.
But if they have up to 18 years old, they can already enter that kind of job that will be
Yes.
suited for them.
And this is one of the things, the results of the K-12 system that has been introduced, recently introduced,
Yeah.
which you tackled in
Yeah,
your
I
book.
have some suggestions there on how to deal with the issues right now, because then even if I'm very, very impressive about DepEds trying to do these things in order to implement this program properly, and I'm all for them for that, and I'm happy that what I have suggested there is also congruent to what they're trying to do. Now, one of the issues is that the presence of, the private schools will not have first-year enrollees
Yes, yes.
come 2016. And then I suggested there that they can be given a chance to, under the sponsorship of DepEd. So those are being worked out with DepEd.
Opo.
So, because I know for one that we cannot have all the facilities to put up classrooms and get all the teachers for so short a time, because 2016.
Opo.
That's
And clearly
right.
a shift to a new system of
That's right.
education. There will be some bitter pills that need to be
Right.
swallowed. No?
Yeah.
But very nice book po. In fact, we're going to have a
thank you.
show. And in fact, before we did the shoot, I said we need to do a show precisely solely on K-12.
Oh, thank
because so many people watching there are still unaware really of what are the issues of K-12, what are the
Yes.
obstacles, the challenges
That's right.
that lie ahead.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. We have to pause for a break, Secretary, but after we pause for a break, we come back, we'll be joined by Cecil Alvarez, who's the director of the Earth
Okay.
Savers UNESCO Artists for Peace, and she'll talk about arts healing and also in relation to education and women's rights.
Okay.
So guys, don't go away, because more of Celebrating International Women's Month when Philippines Uncut returns.
Thank you, Consul General.